Welcome to Drams and Dragons. My name is Gus Berger, and with me is my co-host Dustin Van Horn.
Hello.
This is the show where we kind of have boring, nuanced takes, and we don't usually make big declarative statements about important topics, and so nobody listens to us.
Except for today. Well, maybe.
Oh yeah,
Probably not. I don't know.
I don't know. The conversation we're gonna have today is pretty volatile topic it's pretty volatile topic in the world right now, especially on the internet where everyone is calm and reasonable all the time.
All the time.
So, yeah, I mean, we're gonna dive into a little bit, and by dive into, I mean probably just have the most shallow, broad overview discussion of something that's been going on in the world of writing. It's not just fantasy, which is the sort of NaNoWriMo AI statement controversy that has cropped up recently. The when we'll get into all the details in a couple minutes, because first we're going to do what we usually do, and we're going to taste a little whiskey.
Yeah.
Lubricate the conversation a little bit. So because that always goes well.
Yeah. Whenever AI comes up, it's definitely need some. I don't know where I'm going with that statement. Let's just let's open the.
Well, look, like whenever there's like a big subject like this,
yeah,
like sometimes you need a little something to like relax and kind of calm down the nerves and have the confidence to to bullshit your way through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and meditation works too. It's
for
not
bullshitting.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Well, that explains a lot.
It does. Yeah, I think
certain groups of people.
Well, I don't think it's. Here's what's fun about AI. Like, it's fun because we're all kind of on the same page. It's new for everybody, and it's starting to bump elbows with culture war issues. And so it's people's.
Man.
Yeah, it's just intersecting with everying right now.
It's everywhere. Yeah, it's huge. It's everywhere, for better or worse. And we're gonna talk a little bit about a tiny piece of it.
Yeah.
But one that affects the subject that we do our podcast about. So I will tell you this: AI can't make fucking whiskey.
No.
No.
It can maybe
make whiskey,
but
sure. But it can't make what's in the bottle yet.
No.
So, distillers, your job is safe.
Yeah.
The people who market it, maybe not, but
Yeah. See again, yeah. So many cool places to go with that. But yeah, on the whiskey side here, Gus, we got something kind of special to drink this week. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah. I too am excited about this. It is the Fiona Mcleod 33-year-old single malt Scotch. It is the next set of the set that we're going through, the character of Islay Whiskey Company. It's 46.3% alcohol by volume.
Ooh, the peat comes out right away.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I haven't really had a lot of peated stuff that's been aged this long. So if there was ever anything for me to like, I think it'd be peated aged stuff.
So let's see. The color on this is kind of it's a nice sort of, it's not super rich or something, but it's a nice golden.
Yeah.
Nice sort of golden color.
I wonder if they dye this. I wouldn't imagine it's dyed.
No. I doubt this is dyed. I've noticed when we've been going through their whiskeys that they were fairly pale at the start. And then as they've gone, they sort of are like you would expect. They are getting darker with more time in the barrel. They're concentrating a little more. They're pulling a little more out of the oak. So
you'd expect it to be darker.
You'd expect it to be darker. Now it's not particularly dark, but it's darker than the last one. So
yeah, and that's kind of a fun thing over the course of our show. It's changed my perspective on the coloring, because I've noticed that like the stuff over 16 that doesn't have to dye it, they look like what those younger whiskeys are dyeing themselves to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So That's kind of a surprise to me, but boy, do you get a got like
We'll
a
start with the
lovely
legs real quick.
yeah, yeah. All
I
right.
don't think I sort of expected more legs.
Yeah, it doesn't look super oily. Yeah.
No, it's not super oily. I expected it to look a little thicker and more viscous, but it's pretty thin actually. I mean, it's not like water thin, but it's like, yeah, there's not much in the way of legs. It's kind of
It's not.
it doesn't really cling to the glass very much.
Oh, especially in comparison to the 25 year we had. That thing was sticky.
It
Like,
was. This is quite different from that.
yeah. Curiouser and curiouser. Getting those like ah
Mm.
a nice kind of appley kind of fruit nose.
Yeah, getting some apple, getting some lemon as well.
Ooh, lemon. Got caramel I'm getting.
Oh yeah, I agree. There's
Yeah.
definitely definite caramel vibes. Probably a bourbon barrel kind of situation.
Ooh.
The peat is not as strong as some of the other ones that I've had. I mean, there was that initial sort of peatiness, right? But then it
Yeah,
fades away into the background a little bit.
it does. I agree. Yeah, it's chill.
Like it's still there, but it's very mild compared to like I would say even both either of the other ones in this set that we've had.
Mhm. Yeah, the other stuff is it's been, the smoke has been such a feature, like from the nose forward. Um,
Yeah, I mean the last couple we were talking about tire fires and like wood smoke and like you know what I mean, like and this sort of grass, almost like burning grass, burning herbs, burning. And this one is like it's very mild. I mean, it's there in the background subtly.
let's take a taste. Ooh. Oh, interesting.
I get a lot of sweetness up front.
Yeah, you might be right about the bourbon barrels.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think this is I'm getting very much getting those sort of bourbon barrel notes. It's
mhm.
also fairly harsh, actually.
Yeah,
This is not a. It's. I mean, it's older. I. I don't know if this is normal with older whiskeys.
yeah. It does. It tastes. Yeah, it tastes like distilled. like
Yeah,
it's
like concentrated. I mean, not
yeah.
alcohol wise. It's only 46.5% or 46.3%. So it's
Mhm.
not particularly high alcohol content.
Wow, but it hits like it.
It hits hard. It hits way harder. There's so much like it's so much stuff is like concentrated in this, and it's pulled out so many like so much of the stuff from the wood, the oils and the
Mhm.
conagers from the wood that it's really got an intense flavor that's uh it's like really strong.
Yeah,
So
it really and for the listeners for the shape because I think the shape might be like a theme we do. For me, it's like a spear almost. It's like a really wide, sharp
yeah.
point, just like ah.
Yeah, I was actually almost gonna say it's like a star with like points on it. Like
Yeah,
it's
with
got
little yeah, it's a
little like or a burr, like it's got like little jagged points coming off it.
I like that. I like the star because the star kind of it's like energy behind that, and it's got a lot of energy to it. And I think what's cool about this too is after the spike,
Mm.
the star, whatever it is, the finish is really complex.
Okay. Second taste, I'm getting so many more flavors out of this.
Yeah.
It's really complex. Like you still get that sweetness, that malty sweetness at the front, and then it turns into like a butteriness.
Yeah. I'm getting
It's
that.
really nice. This butteriness. I get more of the smoke. I get there's almost a it's hard to describe. It's almost a chemically smell,
Mm-hmm.
like almost like a I don't know wood alcohol turpentine. Not in like a oh, you're gonna go blind kind of way, but like in a
Yeah, and a
very
good
sort of in a good sort of chemically something. Just
mhm.
hint of it. Hint of it.
Mhm. Like the medicinal kind of thing we read about sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Things.
I could see there's just a hint of that medicinal. I mean, it could read as sort of chemical or medicinal.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, up front, it's like, I mean, it's like
Mm.
scones with honey on it, right? Like up front, like it's so sweet and malty and buttery. It's like, I don't know,
Yeah.
clotted cream. If I had to go like British, like super like British Isles, like, I mean, it's
Because there's
so
almost like
rich
a
in
yeah,
the
it's like a
front.
saltiness to the richness too.
Yeah, like butter, like salted butter.
Yeah, the umami element to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I got you on that.
Yeah.
There's definitely a savoriness in parts. It's like this salty, savory experience. But it's also sweet. Like it's this like, salty and sweet kind of mix,
So what are you getting on the finish? For me, the finish is lovely on this one. It's very long. I get, we talk about wood, like earthy wood fire versus like sea smoke kind of thing. Like I get more ocean from this.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with the sort of
like a
maritime nautical smoke.
Dude, we're starting to consolidate our terms here. This is good.
Yeah. Maritime. But that's on the very back end. Like I don't get any of that on the nose, and I don't get any of that on the front of my, like when I first sip. It is revealed, as it goes.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, this kind of reminds me of Lagavulin a little bit, because Lagavulin's different than a lot of them, and it's got the same kind of finish where there's just like a seawater nautical kind of vibe to it with the sweetness and the long finish and stuff. It's very different. It's good.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm doing. I'm sealing the rest of this in this bottle so that Katie can have it in the morning because she is brushing her teeth because it is late. All right. It's sealed, ready to rock. Boom. So do you feel properly lubricated for our subject tonight, Gus?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, you never know what happens because it's AI, baby. It's all new. Maybe so let me do a little background for the peoples. So in case you're listening and you're not aware, there's a massive cultural, technological shift happening right now in AI, and it's in every industry. You got some really loud things happening, like the Writers Guild that writes all of our shows and movies have gone on strike, and this is old news now, but they said, hey, you can't you can't take our jobs by writing scripts for TV shows. Big in the gaming industry, a bunch of voice actors came out and said, hey, you can't sample our voices and use them for video games that you make money off of. Can't use our likeness. And we're at this point in our culture, it's a wild west. We have this new technology. We don't have regulations or guardrails for it. And so people with means are kind of doing what they do with it. And we are the guinea pigs. And already right now with what I'm saying, there's like controversy in here.
I would say we're more than the guinea pigs. Right? Because, and I just need to give a little background, I feel like, on what this quote AI is.
What is the AI? There you go.
So what we're really talking about tonight isn't just any old AI. AI just stands for artificial intelligence. It is extremely artificial. It's not even remotely close to intelligent. What we're really talking about is what they call generative AI. So that's quote AI that generates content. It could be generating images, writing, music, or more. It is, again, not intelligent. This is not some super intelligence creating artwork.
It does learn, though, right?
Well, yes, it does learn, but not in the way you and I think of learning, not in the way that anybody really thinks of learning. What it does is we're talking about machine learning. And so I'm going to break it down and make it real simple, as a simple version of machine learning.
All right, let's hear it.
Because so basically, and this is just like, I want to be real clear, because somebody, if we had comments or on YouTube where there are comments or somewhere, will be like, it's not that at all. Okay, well, I'm trying to break it down so that it's real simple. You can think of it kind of like a program, an algorithm that operates on the principles of survival of the fittest, where you basically take a program, you give it a task, you make a bunch of mutations of that program. It runs, all the versions run, they do the same task, and you decide which one did it best. You take that one that did it best, you mutate it a little bit, you have it run again. You choose the best one, and so on. And then you repeat this process a couple billion times. Maybe that's an exaggeration for some things. Maybe it's an under exaggeration for other things, right?
Yeah, we could say a lot, a lot of times.
Yeah, a lot of times. Ridiculous, uncountable numbers of times. The
inhuman.
The reason that like the tech company NVIDIA that like for used to make GPUs, still make GPUs, but they used to make like that was all they did. They're huge right now on like on the stock market because they sell so many of their processing units to the people who are running these huge, like giant training programs for these different algorithms. It's enormous. And so you can imagine like if you train something to identify speech patterns, or you train something to identify images, and you do all this stuff, like it takes a lot of processing power to train these algorithms up. And they're much more complex than I described. It's not, what I described is like the simplest version of it, right? And the lowest level version of it. But when you're doing this at the scale they're doing this at, it's a lot of processing power. When they're doing this training for, say, image generation, they are very specifically using images that already exist, images that have already been made by human artists. This is the data that they are training on. This is the data that they're essentially pulling from.
And this is referred to as scraping, right?
Yeah. Well, scraping would be the act of the gathering of that data from the internet at large.
Yeah, and a quick note on that: the scraping can be done anywhere. And there's been all these infamous examples of it. Facebook got in a lot of trouble for doing it for a long time. Reddit sells all of your activity in post. It allows people to scrape all of it for information. But yeah, like you said, Gus, it's not just information. It's procedural, like what words come after other words, how do phrases together, who says what, who responds to what.
And so one of the there are several and maybe an understatement, several complaints that people have. Several complaints. One of the obvious ones is you can't use our data to build your AI. And not only our data, because if I go to Reddit or Facebook or Google or wherever the hell, Microsoft, I don't know, I'm using their program. They tell me in their terms of use, oh, we might use your data, like anonymized data for some shit. Okay. I've signed that away. I've said, yes, if I'm using your platform, like for free, I'm not paying to use Reddit or whatever, then like, sure, that's your right. It's also my right to not use that if I don't want to, but that said, they're not just scraping stuff like comments from Reddit, right? They're scraping people's data to throw into their system and it's not just data, right? It is in a sense, but they're scraping people's copyrighted and trademarked material.
Yes.
Right.
Doesn't sound okay. It's right off the bat.
Yeah, to train their own algorithm that they are then selling for money.
And that's why the video game, the voice actors was such a thing, because you don't see these people, you just hear their voices, and you can generate realistic sounding voice now with I could put Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice on my voice right now, and it would sound believable, and I could make him say whatever I want.
Yeah,
and all sampled voices, and that gets to kind of the core for me, Gus. It feels like they're stealing not just people's art, their expression, but their identity. And like for these voice actors, like they're stealing their voice. This is, and their art. This is how they make money.
It's literally their livelihood, right?
Yeah.
And for writers, it's kind of the same way. For somebody who's a writer, let's say you write novels for a living, somebody can not only can they steal, work to train the algorithm, but they can have their algorithm. They can have their, I don't know if Chat GPT specifically can write books, but there are tools that can write books. They can steal your writing style. There's actually a tool I saw a number of just a few months ago that was like Hemingwayify your writing.
Yeah.
Where they're basically like, all right, they're going to turn your writing. You write whatever the fuck you want. It could be the worst like crap writing in the world, and you just press a couple buttons, and they're like, yep, we turned your writing into Hemingway, and it's literally in the style of Hemingway, and it actually improves the writing. I mean, I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
so like, there's there's all of these tools that that are now widely available to anyone, for better or worse. They've been created using data that is potentially, likely, probably, almost certainly, definitely stolen, because they're not paying. Like if they go and use like somebody's book, right, to train their algorithm, which they have certainly done, they're not paying that author. They're using it just because they can, basically. Yeah. And they don't even have to disclose that they've used it. Yeah. We do.
We call that copyright infringement, right? Or plagiarism. Yeah, we have words for that, And but that's what's crazy about it, because we don't, when it's with AI. Like if a person did that, the organization did that and stole it, it'd be one thing. But scraping and the machine learning, it's like extra legal right now.
Yeah, and I'll say why, and I think it's the justification for it. I feel like I would be like remiss in this discussion if I just like was hammering on them, because the justification for it is that you can be inspired by somebody. Let's say you're a person and you go and read 1,000 books and then write your own book based on your reading of all these books, which is what everybody does, of course, because it's just, then why wouldn't you, like if you're reading all these books and then writing your own book that's inspired on these, based on these other books, like wouldn't that be acceptable? Nobody would raise an eyebrow if you were just inspired by them, but you were writing genuinely new stuff. Why wouldn't, so I think that would be one argument for why it's okay to do this. Another possible thing to say is that we don't complain when somebody cuts up somebody else's artwork and makes a collage. We have a literal art form name for collage. So why is it a problem if a computer does a collage?
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to say, one argument or the other is the best one. I think there's validity in both to some extent. There's also the discussion about that's ongoing about, well, you're putting people out of work, right? Like it's just, it has this technology has the potential to absolutely just wreck the job industry, like wreck jobs in all kinds of industries. And it already is seriously affecting some jobs in certain industries. So in all of this, in this sort of milieu of of AI nonsense and outrage and sort of tech bro hand waving and whatever the fuck, NaNoWriMo, and I'm not going to do a whole giant summary of like step-by-step, blow-by-blow account, but just NaNoWriMo, which is a National Novel Writing Month. So basically the idea is you write a novel in a month, you write like 1,500 words a day or something like that. You end up with a 50,000 word novel by the end of the month. They have this whole thing.
And it's been going on for years, right? It's like
I did it back when I was like right out of college or something. Like it was
kind of the same
as like 20 years ago or something now, I think, or almost 20 years or something. I don't remember the exact. It's been a while.
And it's really popular. Yeah, it basically, if you are someone who writes, if you're a screenwriter, if you're an author, if you're just into short stories, like people know about this. It's a thing.
Yeah.
And Google it, and it's pretty surprising.
So anyway, so they put out a statement that basically they said they didn't explicitly support any specific approach to writing. And nor do they explicitly condemn any approach, including the use of AI. That's basically the quote. I'm fumbling over my words a little bit, but that's basically the quote. They said this is maybe the more. I think people were surprised by that because most writers are pretty anti AI.
Yeah.
So people were surprised by that, but then they went on to say, and I think this is where some of the controversy comes in.
Yeah, this is 100%.
They said, and this is, I'm going to do my best to quote this. They've actually since taken this down, so I'm taking it from an article.
Oh,
several articles with the quotes. They've actually amended their statement a few days ago and taken this part of it down. But this is they did say this. We believe that to categorically condemn AI would be to ignore classist and ableist issues surrounding the use of the technology, and that questions around the use of AI tie to questions around privilege. So everything we've talked about so far, is kind of leading up to this question and this part of the topic, because this is the thing. This is the element of this thing that is kind of more than surprising, kind of shocking to a lot of people, has outraged many people, writers and readers alike.
Probably confused some people too.
And then on top of that, then it was revealed one of the sponsors for NaNoWriMo is the Pro Writing Aid, which is an AI writing assistant.
No kidding.
Yeah. There have been some resignations and other sponsors pulling their sponsorship of NaNoWriMo, and there's all kinds of shit has gone down since this statement, and then this AI sponsorship being revealed. So, but I'm curious, really curious, Dustin, what you think of their statement. What is that? Is it valid? Does it have any validity, or is it just complete fucking nonsense to you?
I'm glad you asked that, Gus. And I will say so when you read that, I could feel an immediate like ickiness. Like these are words that inspire kind of messy conversations, I like to call them. It gets messy because a lot of the words they used are words that are subjective between people, and they're kind of fighting words sometimes. And saying something is ableist, saying something is involved with privilege. You can already just see it like that. It gets people's backs up on the wall. We have a hard time defining what ableism and privilege even is in our society. And right off the bat, I think it was a poor decision to put this out there, especially without more information. I think what they were getting at with it was there are people who might need help with thought processes. They might have something where they have like a brain injury, and they can use ChatGPT to help keep their thoughts in order. They can feed their information into something and use it to inspire different phrases and things like that. And to say that someone can't use any generative AI would be exclusatory to those people. But they didn't have a nuanced thing like that. They were just like just finger wagging a little bit. And then to find out that it was poop in the punch bowl to me to hear that there was an AI force behind that. That's all the neutrality of it, all the innocence of it is kind of gone with that, because it's like there's a rat and you can't really try. And that's what I was going to say, just to end all this out. When we were talking about, tech bros and all this, different industries have handled AI differently. And they have a whole different vibe to them, like the medical industry. There's some really cool shit being done with gene sequencing and research for rare diseases that's happening with AI, where they're feeding information in and they're solving problems, mathematics, sciences, things like that. But it kind of comes down to like, what industries do you trust? It kind of comes down to trust for me. I don't trust tech bros to have our best interest at heart. I think they have their best interest in heart. I think their pocketbook and their shareholders are their best interest.
And not even their shareholders, though. They're VCs.
Yes. Yeah, even where I give them too much credit, I guess.
In comparison, we're talking about like, venture capitalists who literally are just like, we want to make billions of dollars. right? Like they want the next Google or the next Apple or whatever, right? Like,
and that's what AI is. AI is it's a big cash cow to them. So I think with that context, I think it's the poop in the punch bowl is the only way I can say with it. It's like we're supposed to be able to trust you guys, and now it looks bad. Maybe it was in good faith, but it looks bad.
Yeah.
To have someone pushing that agenda. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree about the language they used. I do. I think like, but I also trying to have charity for their argument that they're trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
I think charity is an argumentative, like rhetorical principle, like where we were having debate club or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Charity is one of the most important like underlying principles in these kinds of things, because like you read what they said and it kind of sounds horrible, but if you really like stop and you think about, okay, what are they trying to say here?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're trying to say something closer to what you said. They just use really, it's like shutdown language.
Yep.
Right. Like when you want to shut something down, and then and this is like a rhetorical, like it's a bullshit rhetorical thing that a lot of people do online and just out there in the world. They're like, they frame an issue as like it's ableist. Right. And therefore you're a bigot if you disagree with our statement.
Yeah.
Right.
It happens. Like
and it's the shutdown language that just sucks. Thanks. Cool. But if you like actually like listen to what they're trying to say, which is that these tools can help people who are struggling with money. These tools can help people that are struggling with certain areas of talent. These tools can help people that maybe they are literally disabled and they have an idea and they want to make it into a book, but they just can't do the thing. Maybe AI can help those people. And so to categorically deny, anybody the use of AI, or to categorically condemn all use of AI no matter what, yeah, it's kind of foolish. And I kind of agree with them on that statement. But man, the way they said it is horrible. And then, yeah, to find out, that they're sponsored by Pro Writing Aid or whatever, which honestly, I had never heard of before this whole thing happened, and in some ways it's not a bad tool, in theory. As I understand it, it's not the worst sort of version of this, because some of these tools will just literally write a book for you, like the whole thing, right? 100,000 page done. Yeah. AI made it. It'd be weird and kind of stupid and funky and artificial reading, but it can do it. But this tool is mostly, as I understand it, and again, I haven't used it, is mostly, as I understand it, more of like an editor, not a proofreader, but like a little higher level than that, and an actual editor that can help you. That said, it feels pretty shady that they like did this big statement, and then they're also like being sponsored. And I don't know how much that sponsorship affected their stance. I mean, it could be that they had this stance and then they felt that was like based on that stance, that it was perfectly reasonable to accept the sponsorship of the AI company. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It just looks bad. And so it's like it's like a double whammy of like looking really bad in a particular way that like people fucking hate. And it's it makes them look like, yeah.
Because you're used to seeing it from the other industries that take advantage of stuff and you can't trust them and stuff. And yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, but you can assume positive intent. You can have charity with them, but it's like,
well, I'm just having charity with their argument here. I'm not.
Well, even them, you could be like, it's an editing tool. It uses generative AI to help you find the right phrases and stuff. But that kind of brings up the next kind of argument that it's kind of been floating in my head, and it's like, where do you draw the line? When does AI become exploitive or cheating versus a helping tool? And I don't know if we've clearly defined that yet, and they certainly haven't. Doesn't seem like they have. I could be wrong.
Sure, yeah, sure. I don't think it has been defined. I think we're in the it's the Wild West era. It's the gold rush or at least they hope it's a
Yeah.
gold rush. It might just be like a, a just complete shit mine. Like they're just mining shit. I don't know.
Yeah, you
And
think it might
and
just make everything
yeah,
shittier for a while? Like, because I have noticed
yeah.
that.
I
Yeah,
will say this, and I have a confession to make.
uh-huh.
I I have
Here,
used AI,
uh-huh.
but not for my writing. I've used it for the cover of my book.
Mm-hmm.
I am not an artist. Like I have no skill. I have no budget. Like I have zero extra dollars to spend, which means that basically I've got to make my own cover
You just gotta give your kids
without
$5, man. Give your kids
without
$5.
give my kids $5.
Draw some horses and some skeletons,
Yeah,
and you're good, man.
God, no, not good. Because I mean, like, if you're writing a book, the first thing that anybody looks at when they to decide whether to buy your book or to fuck it, not even buy it, but just click on it and read it for free on the internet because that's where we're at, or that's where I'm at. The first thing they're going to look at, the thing that's going to make them decide, is the cover. Like whether you're in a bookstore, whether you're clicking through Amazon, whether you're on fucking Royal Road or some other site. That's what you're going to see. That's how you're going to decide. You're going to look at the thing. You're going to see like, oh, there's the name of the book. There's the cover of the book. Am I going to click in to see the next thing? And if the answer is no, because it's like, like our wonderful art that we have here on Spotify, a lot of people aren't going to click on that. Like they're just not. That's the
I would
reality.
click on that. I would do it.
You would click on that. I appreciate that. But most people would not. And so you have to have something that looks at least decent enough, that has sort of the right vibe and looks cool and is like, ooh, I want to read that book. And it's like a whole art. I mean, it's like a whole art form. And I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, my book is a great piece of art that is like, oh, it's a great cover, but it's better than I could fucking do. It's like,
Oh yeah, it's awesome. And I think you hit on the other part of their argument. If we're being charitable, when they raise the issue of privilege, you can't help but. So I'm a musician. That's kind of my first career. The people you see out there making albums and stuff,
mm-hmm.
they are not. There's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of people who know what they're doing. There's a lot of trust fund babies. There's a lot of people who have lots of money who can afford recording studio time. And there's a lot of people out there. Yeah. And I hate YouTube because I'll find these things where like they'll have musicians on and the host will be like, whoa, look at this musician doing this. They're so good. I'm like, they're just doing musician shit. This is what all musicians do. These people, and it's not everybody. These people caught a break. It's an industry like that. Being an author is kind of the same thing. It's a crapshoot if you get picked up. The right art could cost you lots of money, and there's people with incredible ideas and great stories. They can't afford to pay an artist a couple grand to put something up for them. And there's ways around it, and there's ways to do it, but it starts to bump elbows with privilege. It starts to people with means are able to do stuff that people without.
He was doing an interview a while back, but the actor James McAvoy had a really, really cool statement that he made on like some interview he was doing. It was basically like the vast majority of actors are like rich people kids, like they're trust fund babies. Like, and he was saying that this is a real problem, at least in the British acting world, because people don't really have that like real like lived like life experience. They're just rich kids, kind of pretending to. And I thought at the time, like it was a really interesting thing. But as these sort of things are coming up where you're like, well, yeah, like if you want to publish a book, like if you want to self-publish a book, this isn't acting, but the problem is basically the same. Like if you want to self-publish a book, you need to have thousands of dollars, like properly. And I'm talking about like properly self-publish a book. You need to have like thousands of dollars. We need to be just an expert in everything, right?
Yeah.
You need to hire an editor. You need to hire, and this is without AI, I mean, and and not just sort of doing it shitty. Yeah. This is like doing it right, but you need somebody to do art. You may have art inside the book. You may have, and then you're going to need a cover artist, and you're going to need probably a cover artist and then a cover designer, because rarely are they the same thing unless they're like some shitty online cover designer, which come on, most of them suck. And you know, you go in and you're like, okay, and then you need somebody to actually do the book formatting for like the ebook and the hardback and the paperback, and those are all slightly different, and you're going to need somebody who can actually do that. The software to do that with Adobe is very expensive, and then you're going to need an editor, and you're going to need possibly a separate proofreader. You might actually have to pay readers. Because some people, you know, some people have a network of people that they know that can be readers for them and say, oh, this part didn't make sense for me, or that part didn't make sense, or the language here was, they didn't, you know, this or that, or hey, there's a plot hole in your book. Like some people have, you know, friends like that that are, you know, willing, able, whatever to do that. They might have a community of people who can do that, but a lot of people have to pay for that, right? And so, and this is like this. All of these people are going to have to get paid a lot of money because they need to make a living too.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody with means, you can do this.
Yeah.
If you are somebody with a very small, relatively small budget, good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have to stumble your way through all of this shit that you are not an expert at. And I know that because I'm currently stumbling my way through all of this shit.
Yeah.
Without any expertise in most of these things. Like I can write like hell. I can't edit. I can't book cover. I can't format. I don't fucking know most of this shit. Right. Like,
yeah.
So like trying to get it to the point where I'm like, you know, putting it out there is like, and I'm not using AI for most of it. Like I'm just doing most of it.
Yeah.
Right. But the book cover, I was like, I need a piece of art. I need something that's like custom-ish, you know, something that like at least captures the vibe. You know, the thing about like paying somebody or like whatever, like the alternative for me isn't paying somebody. The alternative for me is frankly stealing something that's legal to steal. Right. Which is basically what public domain art is, right?
Public domain. Yeah.
I mean, I would be going and getting a piece of public domain art, something from like 150 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like putting it on my book and hoping that nobody's like, hey, isn't that famous painting from, you know, why is that on a book? Because that's not going to attract people to your book, right? Like that's, so I just, you know, there and here's the thing. I'm saying all of this about myself, but compared to a lot of people in this world, I have an insane amount of privilege. Imagine if you're somebody who doesn't have that amount of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine if you're somebody who has like even less, you maybe. So I get what they're trying to say. And I get why these things are actually really important for some people. Like I get it. They said it in a shitty way. Maybe they weren't the right ones to say it. Maybe they shouldn't have had a fucking sponsor that was, you know, potentially nudging them to say it. And they shouldn't have used the language that was like shut down language. But like,
yeah,
the privilege is actually a really important piece of this.
It is.
Like doing art is fucking expensive. Doing all of the things, even if you're an amazing artist and you have the time to do the art, doing all of the shit around the art that you need to do in order to make a living at the art is also shitty.
Because it's all industrial. And that's, I have a hard time not being cynical about this. You know, you said the CEO of Signal came out and said it was a dying thing. Part of me thinks
it's just a dead end.
A dead end. Not that it's dying. Part of me thinks the dead end is that the people that benefit from it, that could benefit the most from it, are the people with the least amount of power and means. And so they can't make money from these people. And it sounds cynical, but that's kind of what goes on in the tech world. It's a very dog eat dog thing where they're really looking at bottom line, like how much money can we make from this? And if it's not up to a certain standard, they don't do it. And there's no morals to it. They don't care if it could cure cancer. They don't care what it does. It make them money. They're not doing it for charity. And I guess with the book stuff, the other cynical part of this is that for this writing program, there's a reward if you win this contest. And there are people, it's the whole concept, like we can't have nice things because there will be someone who will exploit what is out there, and they will try to exploit it for their gain. And it's like, I really feel for the people who run this, because how do you have uh this open beautiful writing summit thing for the whole nation in the international in the whole world
Oh
able to
yeah,
do?
it's international. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like how do you do that but also make it fair and make it reasonable and make it equitable for everybody? Like it's a really shitty situation to be in, and I think the whole industry is like, schools are infamous for this, like all the academic integrity type stuff that they're working with, and kids cheating on papers, or
Yeah.
professors claiming that kids are cheating, and it's just, yeah, it seems like a big mess, man. And that's where I feel it hitting me, is like right in the cynicism. And I
It is
don't,
definitely a big mess.
yeah, it really is. It's a messy conversation.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good place to, I don't know, is anything else still percolating in your brain about this? Like
Yeah. I just think
thoughts, like,
I think that I think that who benefits from it is definitely a big piece of this,
mm,
right? Like if average people are going to benefit from this, I think it's probably a pretty good thing. I just don't think that that's what Silicon Valley is trying to do with this. Like obviously, like they're not bettering human society.
yeah,
Like I don't there's maybe some that are like fooling themselves into thinking that they are. They're not. Like if you were building this for that purpose, great. Like put some fucking walls on it so it doesn't break everything else.
yeah.
Like
That's
yeah,
what I would like to see. I'd like to see some regulation, some consumer protection, and you are seeing it. I guess that's the hope. Maybe this would be like the hopeful end to it. Like you see, like mobilization with unions,
mhm.
of creative people. They're mobilizing. They're going on strike, and they're demanding protections. And
Yeah,
seeing some good movement on that. I imagine, uh, in the fantasy world, we'll see that too, because I, I mean, AI is nowhere good enough right now to write a fantasy book like that we would feature on our show. There's no way. And I
yeah,
hear
not
examples
yet.
all the time. Yeah, it's easy to find out, but the growth is like exponential. It's just getting better and better and better. Um,
Yeah, yeah. The one thing that I would say is I just man the vitriol and hate and big melodramatic statements that I've seen people make about what AI is, what it does, what it means for NaNoWriMo to have said this. And like, I've seen so much just absolutely over the top, like reactionary shit,
really,
with like you do on the internet. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
because it seems pretty easy to parse through, man. It's just, I feel like we saw
Yeah.
it on our show just now.
Well, let
Oh,
me just read you a statement.
yeah,
This
let's
is
get some examples
that
here.
so Daniel Jose Older, who served on the NaNoWriMo writers board. So he was a writer who was serving on their writers board,
Uh,
resigned
okay.
in a post titled "Nah, no, hell no." And he said, "Your position on AI is vile, craven, and unconscionable." Those were the adjectives that he decided to apply to their statement.
Huh. Sounds like you ran it through AI to proofread a little bit.
Just like, yeah,
Make this sound more
ran it through
outraged.
the old synonym generator. I don't know.
Make it more shutdowny. I don't want to have any conversation after this. I just
Yeah.
want to accuse and yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's shutdown words. What are we talking about? Which is it's basically shutdown words. Yeah. It's
Yeah. I like,
vile. Therefore, anybody who says that it's not vile is in favor of vile shit, but that's not true, right? It's just not,
it's not
it's the
rocket
kind of
science.
language that just, you're a writer, you can come up with some better way to fucking say this.
How have we not learned our fucking lesson after years of this shit online? This is what blows my mind. Like, I feel like the internet's been like this since really 2015.
Dustin, it
Yeah.
is a slap in the face.
I
Oh,
just got eviscerated by you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it really is.
Dustin eviscerates Gus.
It's my favorite one. I'm glad
You've
they
been
moved on from
eviscerated.
decimate, though. I feel like enough pinheads got like, actually, decimation is a reduction by a tenth.
He's been slammed, eviscerated, slapped in the face. Yeah, it's just
So
it's too
tired of it,
much.
man.
It's too much, and people just need to have a little
Yeah.
grace for other people and take a deep fucking breath and
Yeah.
and
Maybe have some whiskey,
yeah,
Get
have a
into whiskey
whiskey.
tasting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, get a hobby other than
Well, I think his hobby is writing, and AI is trying to take that away. Apparently.
and I guess that's valid too. And I don't know. I don't know if it's helpful. You remember, especially with political stuff, like, is it helpful if you don't like the leader to leave right away and basically say, I'm not on their team, or is it better to like be the change from within? Um, I kind of wonder. I kind of feel like with this one, it'd be better to just stay in the conversation and be a voice of like pulling people together and a voice of sanity instead of just another person being like, "Screw you guys, I'm out of here."
Yeah, I feel like this is like it's the light yourself on fire protest, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
like this is so horrible. This is so horrible that I must light myself on fire for attention, to bring attention, or to bring, not for my personal attention, but to bring attention to the bullshit that's going on.
yeah,
And somebody's like, "Well, that doesn't happen." Yeah, it's happened. It's a thing.
yeah. The immolation approach, maybe we'll call it.
Yeah, it's the self-immolation
Yeah.
protest approach. It has been done, but it's falling on your sword to bring to highlight the injustice.
I'm like
It's
samurai shit, man. We don't do this. Isn't
yeah,
this isn't Edo, man? This is this isn't
yeah,
this is it's crazy to me.
yeah.
That's why I don't read any comments ever. I never read comment. I don't
Ever.
read anything on the internet ever.
Like, then how do you know about any of this? Oh,
I
no.
know. Well, I did delve into that,
You're
but
like, I did read a little bit on the internet, I admit, but
well,
but
to be
nothing.
honest, well, get this, man. When I was looking for the article on this to catch up, I had half of the stuff was paid that you had to pay for the fucking
Mhm.
news article, and then the other stuff was so full of ads that I couldn't see anything. There's ads everywhere, and then I would
Be
bet you
willing to bet that
AI
these are
generated.
AI generated. Yeah. Yeah, we said at the same time. AI, yeah, I bet they're AI generated.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's an area that bugs me, man. I see it on Reddit all the time now. Ever since they got even more stupid, they have all this AI just garbage posts come up,
Yeah.
um, that are just AI generated slop scraped from the internet and put
Yeah.
together. It's
You can tell. I mean, you can tell pretty easily. I I know that they say the AI companies say that it's getting better and it's gonna be great any day now, but it's artificial intelligence, and I kind of feel like about artificial intelligence like I feel about artificial sweeteners, which is they always taste like shit. Like they always taste artificial, like aspartame. And I know
Good
there are
way to
new
put it.
ones. They still taste like shit, and they all taste like shit in their own way. Like none of them taste like sugar, corn syrup. The real sugars. Your tongue can tell. You can tell. It's almost like almost indefinable sometimes.
Mhm.
But like when
Yeah,
it's
you get a feel for it. Yeah, you feel it.
you get a feel for it. Like if there's aspartame, you can taste it. If it's artificial and it tastes artificial, and AI is kind of the same way, right? If you look closely at all, here's an example. So when I was generating the images for my book cover,
Mhm.
at one point, so like I asked for, I was like, my book's like a Napoleonic, like fantasy grimdark thing, and this cavalry, and they're charging, and I was like trying to get this image of like this cavalry charging,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay,
Mhm.
they need to have sabers because like the first one they didn't even like have swords. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I added. I'm like, these guys should have sabers, and one of them, one of the first one that I generated, one of them had like a little tiny dagger, and then one of them had yeah, I was like charging with this little dagger, and then another one had it was it was like I don't know, like a saber slash fishing pole. It's like riding
Fishing
forward
pole.
with a fishing pole, you know. Uh
Oh, that's great.
yeah. Oh, it was awesome. Those are obviously not the cover of the book. Eventually, after like 100 tries or something, we finally figured out what I was looking for and generated something like sort of worth using.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like if I had the money, to afford proper cover art, I'd have proper, human made cover art, because the fact of the matter is it ain't fucking there yet. Like it just isn't.
Yep.
And I kind of doubt it ever will get there, just the same way that I like with like AI, like driving, like Elon Musk, and he's not the only one doing it. There's all these Google and Uber and all these companies are working on it. There's a lot more. That's just a few of the big ones are all working on self-driving cars or whatever. But like the reality is that like you can get a car, like a self-driving car, like 99% safe. But it needs to be like 99.999% safe or something like that. And that last little bit makes all the difference.
Yep.
Right. That last little bit is huge. Or not.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. It's the difference between dying or not. And I kind of feel like it's AI images and art is going to be the same way, where it will never be perfect. And because of that, like it will never fully replace the artists. And it's a boondoggle. It's a bajillion-dollar boondoggle. That's not that AI can't do anything or be good at certain things, but it's art, and this sort of the interface between art and the human mind is just so complex. I have a hard time believing that it will ever actually get all the way to replacing people. Like I would, if I could afford, like I said, if I could afford a human artist to paint me a beautiful painting in the style that I want, goddamn, I would love that, because it would be so much better than the mediocre piece of AR that catches the vibe of what I'm going for, but doesn't catch it's not like good, it's just not. So
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, there's that aspartame aftertaste. There's
exactly
that monk fruit kind of bitter.
That monk fruit is, oh god, I hate that stuff. So gross.
I hate when people say it's like a great thing.
Stevia.
There's a taste to it. There's an aftertaste.
Yeah, there absolutely is. Anyway.
But yeah, no, and it'd be fun one day. We should do that. And one day, if we can read a novel that's generated by AI, and I still feel like it has to be guided by a human at this point, because
well, you still need a prompt, and you still need prompt.
And you can shape it and do changes to it, but it'll probably be a whole new conversation when we have something that's actually comparable and brings value and art to the table. Because it's like you said, man, it's like it when you read it, or you feel like when you read the opening line to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. There's something. There's almost a magic to like what was it in a hill there was a hobbit, blah blah. I don't remember what it was, but it's magical, damn it. It'd be real interesting to read something that had some soul to it, and that I think that would change the game, because right now it's soulless, and it's not much to it. So well, man, I feel like we've I think we did pretty well. I don't think we did anything too controversial. I think we solved the problem, of course.
Yeah, totally solved.
If they're listening,
you're welcome
to us. Yeah, you're welcome. We're two middle-aged dads. We figuring some stuff out. This is the time of middle-aged dads. We're coming back, man. Strong way.
Yeah, just figuring shit out.
Yeah,
just sitting down over a whiskey and figuring it out, just like two overconfident middle-aged white dudes.
Yes. I think we gave ourselves a lot of good.
We're gonna put this up, and then somebody somewhere is gonna post this to like Reddit, and we're just gonna get fucking pilloried.
We're gonna get slammed and eviscerated.
We're gonna get eviscerated. I think pilloried. Needs to be.
Yeah, we bring back pilloried. Well, it's great. I won't read a single one of them, because
all right. Yeah, we won't read a single one of your stupid fucking comments. Oh, I love you all.
It's good content. Yeah, present company excluded.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's not that I don't read anything. I'm just very careful about what I read and where I read it. Because
I'm the opposite. I read everything, so I'm immune to it now. It's
nice.
it's like a vaccine.
I
like,
can't, man. It's
I
always in
just
the
like
back.
tapped it right into the vein.
Yeah. I'll wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning with a
Well, you
little
don't put
in there.
vaccines in veins, huh? You put them in your anyway. Again.
Yeah, the subcutaneous layer of
yeah.
Yeah.
Right into the muscle.
Yeah.
Right into the meat.
All right, man.
Oh man.
Wait, this is a great conversation, man. I hope listeners, I hope you guys got something out of this, or at least were entertained by our meanderings.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening.
Yeah, I think it's more for us. This was more for us to just kind of get it out. And it's kind of cathartic to talk about this shit.
Process it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not too many people just hang out with you and talk about AI for an hour and a half. So
yeah,
appreciate you, man. And if you're still listening, listeners, appreciate you. And I'll read your stuff. If you post stuff, I'll read it. If you're nice or constructive. Don't be mean, because I'll cry.
He's very emotional.
Very emotional.
But that's okay, because we're millennials. And it's 2024, and it's okay to be emotional.
That's right. We're elder millennials. You know that? That's our official. Yeah. I think that's the coolest millennial.
The elder millennial.
The elder millennial.
All right.
All right, man.
Well,
hanging with you.
Thank you all for listening. It's been fun. And hope to see you on the next one. Have a good night.
And stay gold.
I think we did it.
We did it.
We did it. All right.
Stop recording here.